Hello, I'm Sonia. Today, let's talk about the skill of fitting in and belonging. Have you ever felt like an outsider? Like you're standing at the edge of a circle, wondering how to step in? Whether it's moving to a new country, starting a new job, or joining a new social circle, the struggle to fit in is something we all face at some point. I know the feeling intimately. I'm a family physician who moved to practice medicine in a new country over 20 years ago. And while I've built a career and a life here, it wasn't an easy transition. The journey from feeling like an outsider to belonging was filled with challenges, doubts, and lessons I'll never forget. Today, I want to share those lessons with you because fitting in and belonging isn't just about luck or circumstances, it's a skill. And like any skill, it can be learned, practiced, and mastered. By the end of this video, you'll not only understand what it takes to fit in, but also how to create a sense of belonging wherever you go. Before we dive into the how, let's clarify what we are talking about. Fitting in and belonging, they are not the same. Fitting in often means adapting yourself to meet the expectations of a group. It's about blending in, sticking to the rules, and towing the line of those who came before you. Belonging, on the other hand, is about being accepted for who you are, not having to always say yes to the new team you find yourself part of. It's about finding spaces where you don't just feel tolerated, but instead you feel valued and nurtured, feel supported to develop positively. Let me take you back to my early days. I grew up in rural India, in a world where the odds weren't exactly stacked in my favor. But my parents, with their unshakable belief in me, gave me the confidence to dream big. Becoming a doctor was my dream. Moving to another country to practice medicine was my leap of faith. As an immigrant doctor, there were many times I felt like I had to fit in just to survive. But the moments when I truly thrived were the ones when I felt like I belonged. Let's talk about the elephant in the room, the challenges of being an outsider. When you move to a new country or step into a new environment, you're not just learning the surface level stuff like language or customs. You're navigating unspoken rules, biases, competition, and sometimes outright rejection. I remember my first days working as a doctor in a new country. Sometimes patients would ask, "Where are you from?" Not out of curiosity, but with doubt in their eyes. People weren't always welcoming. I felt like I was constantly walking on eggshells, afraid of saying or doing the wrong things. And it's not just at work. As an immigrant, even daily tasks like grocery shopping or striking up a conversation can feel daunting. You're hyper aware of your differences. And slowly, if you're not careful, those differences start to feel like flaws. But here's what I've learned. Fitting in is a skill. It's not about changing who you are. It's about building bridges. And like any skill, it starts with practice. Here are a few strategies that help me along the way. First, observe and listen. One of the most powerful tools for fitting in is observation. When I first arrived, I spent time watching and listening. How did people greet each other? What topics were safe to discuss? What jokes landed and which ones didn't? This doesn't mean you should mimic everything you see. It's about understanding the social rhythm of the environment so you can find your place within it. Second, learn the language, both spoken and unspoken. Language is more than words. It's tone, body language, and cultural nuances. Early in my career, I made an effort to improve my accent and learn idioms that were common in my new country. But more importantly, I learned to read between the lines. Third, build genuine relationships. One of the hardest but most rewarding parts of fitting in is building connections. I found that the best way to do this wasn't by trying to impress people, but by being genuinely curious about them. Ask people about their lives, their traditions, their stories. When you show authentic interest, barriers begin to melt. Fourth, adapt without losing yourself. Here's a lesson I wish I'd learned sooner. Fitting in doesn't mean erasing your identity. It means finding ways to adapt while staying true to who you are. Embrace your unique perspective. The fact that you're different is your strength. Whether it's your cultural background, your way of thinking, or your lived experiences, lean into them. Share your perspective. Speak up during meetings. Build bridges by showing others how your uniqueness adds value. For example, as the newest member of a team, I was usually the last to speak in meetings. But that was intentional because I wanted to listen respectfully to everything others had to say first before trying to facilitate solutions to problems rather than add to any confusing debates or sound patronizing. On a lighter note, I also took Indian food items to work during festive occasions. At first, I was nervous. What if they didn't like what I was offering? I was pleasantly surprised every time. Instead of polite refusals, my efforts sparked conversations about recipes, shopping, travel, and so on. Suddenly, my differences became connection points. While fitting in is about adapting, belonging is about feeling welcome as you are. It's about finding or even building spaces where you feel at home. I remember one moment that changed everything. A patient with complex needs looked me in the eye and said, "Thank you for really listening to me. You've understood my feelings. I feel less anxious. Thank you for going above and beyond." At that moment, I realized that my empathy, shaped by my experiences as an outsider, was my greatest strength. It was helping me be a better doctor to the most vulnerable in society. From that point on, I stopped trying to hide my differences and started using them to connect. My colleagues took notice and seemed more appreciative of me, and that's when I truly began to belong. Fifth strategy is to invest in yourself. When I was new to the country, I worked on my communication skills, learned the local culture, and stayed updated with medical advancements. I wanted to do my best at work. Investing in yourself isn't about changing who you are. It's about becoming the best version of yourself. So, how do you transform from feeling like an outsider to thriving in the new environment? We need to reframe rejection. Rejection is inevitable when you're different, but do not see this as a judgment of your worth. See this as a time to reflect, pivot, grow, and reinvent yourself. As the saying goes, when one door closes, another opens. Keep knocking, and the right door will open, and a better opportunity will appear. Seek, and you will find. Grab the chance to get out of your comfort zone. Have a growth mindset. It's important to create your own circle. It is said that you are the sum total of 5 people you spend most time with. Hence, even if it takes patience, we should choose our friends and colleagues carefully. Stand in your own truth while being mindful to avoid negative and unsocial personalities. If you can't find a space where you belong, create one. Start a community, whether it's at work, in your neighborhood, or online. Your tribe is out there. They're just waiting for you to lead the way. Always remember your value. Stay away from individuals who are out to undermine you. Choose self-respect over shortcuts for career progression. The hardest part of being an outsider is not losing sight of your worth. Remember, you bring something unique to the table. The world needs your perspective, your story, your voice. Fitting in and belonging isn't about perfection. It's about respectful connection. And while the journey may be challenging, it's also deeply rewarding. The USA is a good example of being a melting pot of great talent where you have a shot at success irrespective of where you're from. To everyone out there who wants to belong, keep going, be it in a new job, a new country, a new social circle, or anywhere else you feel like an outsider. You're not alone. You have what it takes to thrive. Thank you for joining me today. If this video resonated with you, share it with friends, colleagues, and family. And if you've ever felt like an outsider, I'd love to hear your story in the comments below. Let's inspire each other to not just fit in, but to belong.